The lights are on here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The reason we are racing for the Pirelli GT4 America SprintX Championship, the National and the Western divisions here for their season finales at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The event presented by Run by Cirque du Soleil. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, Ryan Marine down in pit lane for us. And this is the first of the doubleheader races for probably GT4 America SprintX competition on the Las Vegas Motor Speedway infield Roval track. And the field is now starting to come up and queue up to get ready to go racing. And the national championship on the line here, as well as the Western division, Cal. And we've got some pretty interesting competition unfolding, some points battles as well. And this is an hour of racing. Mandatory pit stop and a driver change, but no refueling, no tires. So these starting drivers have a lot on their shoulders.
They really do, and the championship, the overall SprintX championship, was very tight indeed. Travis and Hart went on a tear at the beginning of the year. They looked unbeatable, and then suddenly, come the summer, they had a few bobbles, and suddenly this championship has turned on its head with Leah Fusion Quinlan now leading here by just 4 points. So it's all up for grabs with 2 rounds to go. It's going to be fascinating. Some titles have been clinched. The AM division has been clinched by Preston Calvert and Matt Keegan. They have a 40-point lead, and their nearest pursuers are not here this weekend, so that one's clinched. And in the SprintX West, Gottsacker and Miller have already clinched their division, but Jeff Burton, Vesco Kozarov, 18 points to the good, and they sit on the pole here today.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? And this is a pretty interesting pairing here with Jeff Burton and Vesco Kozarov. Vesco certainly incredibly quick. Jeff Burton, when he's on, he can be impressively fast as well. I think one of the stories is this car, the number 36, the endurance warranty entry of Jared Andretti. Colin Mullen has been able to, he got a derogation, they call it, in his driver rating, which allows this car to him to run as an AM driver, and they're back in the seat, if you will. And it's interesting development here. Here's that NOLA Sport car that I'm sure on some level, Cal, they can't believe what happened this season.
I know, and that's a hard one when you think basically the championship is coming your way, and then suddenly for one reason or another, it's some technical issues, bit of bad luck, and by the same token, Stephen Cameron Racing went on a tear with their BMW. So
yes.
It's great that it stacks up like this. I'm sure they would like to have sealed the deal by now, but it's all to fight for.
Well, it's interesting. You think about it. In the season, the Hart-Travis pairing in that NOLA Sport car, 7 wins, 11 podiums, 13 top 5s. The big kicker there is 9 poles that they were able to put together. But in the latter half of the season for Gregory Leafouche, 6 wins, along with his teammate Quinlan, 10 podiums, 14 top 5s. I mean, that's why they are where they are in the points. And here we go. This is the number 51 entry. This is the National AM Championship point leader and clinch in the championship. So Preston Calvert going to be turning over to Matt Keegan, and those guys just go for it. And speaking of driver pairings that have clinched the championship, this is the Western Championship Pro-Am champion at this point, and they clinched it at the preceding event, which was a long time ago. It's been a huge break for this Western Championship, Cal.
Yeah, they got a 51-point lead, only 50 points up for grabs. So it was only a single point, but enough to relax and enjoy this final weekend of racing, because anything can happen, as we've seen already today.
Yeah, exactly. And those Western Division cars, you think about just how long it's been for them in terms of where and when they last raced. Well, their last race was Portland International Raceway, and that was in mid-July. So some of these drivers, they've been doing other things, of course, but they haven't been in this championship for a while.
No, but certainly nice to get into that little midsummer break here and
yes.
Enjoy the spoils, and just come back here to try and give a little bit of momentum to the team and the whole effort heading into the off-season and getting ready for 2020.
Having a little chat with John Miller earlier, and I said, it's been a long time since you raced here. I said, I know you've been doing some coaching in Ferrari Challenge, but you've been doing racing. He said, Greg, honestly, he said, I am absolutely whipped. He said, I've been over in Europe. We've done VLN stuff. I've been doing some other stuff. He said, just hit the ground here yesterday. Actually missed one of the drivers' meetings and had to get a private update, if you will. Got waived to be able to do so, and that's pretty fun. You see the Burton squared. That is Jeff Burton is spending some time here with his daughter and having her race cars, and she's going to be making the step here, he hopes, soon.
Certainly Jeff has put in some very impressive performances. He doesn't seem to succumb to the pressure when he's thrown in at the deep end with the lead of motor races and Invesco. He's a very talented man. I sing his praises a lot because I truly believe he's one of the most underrated drivers in the sports car paddock.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And he also is sort of a very integral component of that team in terms of setup, and oftentimes you'll see him even wrenching and the like. Great mechanical knowledge along with great speed behind the wheel of a car. He's the complete package.
He is, and that's what it takes. And here we see the number 19 car. They had a bit of a problem. They've had two cars here this weekend, had a technical issue with one, so they had to go sign a waiver to run the same car in both, and I think that's costing them some grid spots here today, Greg.
Yeah, it has. It's put them all the way to the back of this big 20-car field as a result. So Sean Quinlan, he has some work to do, and for him the mission is twofold. Coming from that far back is just keep the car in the lead lap, step one, and two, don't hurt the tires, because when that pit window opens, he'll duck in early. They'll put Gregory Leafoge in, and that man is wicked quick, and you want him in to be able to keep this championship battle alive.
Well, he's gaining confidence. Certainly Sean, his teammate, who's mentoring, has done a great job this year. But Greg, when you give him the wheel and say go win the race, as Stephen Cameron has asked him to do a lot this year, he's been up to the task. So he's had a brilliant season.
He has indeed here. This is round 15 of the National Championship and round number 9 for the Western Championship. And the field here under control of the safety vehicle, and they will do essentially a pace lap and a half. They do not start the race here on the finish line up on the tri-oval because it's a hugely quick run into an incredibly tight chicane. And so there's an infield straight here, so they come out of turn 7, halfway between turn 7 and 8 on the infield is where they will pick up the green. So we'll see the pace car stay out, and then it will eventually just, lights will go off, it'll carry on straight forward to turn 3, and at that point your front row will bring you around through those last few infield corners up out of turn 7 to the green.
We've seen plenty of action down into the first racing turn, turn 8, where people try to make that outside move. There's plenty of runoff there, but then it sort of really tightens up at turn 9. So this is the corner that the leaders are entering right now, so you can see that fast left, and then a really little quick burst of acceleration in on the brakes for this kind of carousel turn. Keeps coming around on you. Turn 9, pretty much a rhythm section here. Tough to make passes, but we saw some great action in the GT4 sprint race a little bit earlier this afternoon, and we expect the same here with the SprintX competition also.
Absolutely, and just want to give a little bit of a shout out here. It's not a surprise to see up in that third starting spot James Safronis in the GMG car. I mean, he's an AM, obviously, but there's a reason for that, and it's age-related, if you will. But I'll tell you what, Preston Calvert put in a lap in qualifying, 5th overall in this field for Preston. That's a stellar lap.
It is, and he's a man who's thoroughly enjoying his racing. He's found a great home at Panos, and they treat him well. He treats the team well. With Matt Keegan, you knew they were going to be formidable in this AM Championship with a 40-point lead coming in this final brace of races. And great to see their target achieved in terms of winning their championship together.
Absolutely. A neuro-ophthalmologist by trade, Dr. Preston Calvert. And does a lot of club racing and keeps himself sharp. And he's really worked on his racecraft, and it's been fun to watch. You think about it, he out-qualified Harry Gottsacker, he out-qualified Patrick Byrne, he out-qualified Michael Dynan. I mean, that's some pretty serious talent behind him. They're going to be chomping at the bit to get through on him, so it should be fun. Here's a look at our starting lineup. There's your 3rd and 4th place qualifiers. Safronis in the number 2, Global Motorsports Group machine. And he'll be running with Jason Bell. Support from Highway Systems and the Astoria Kitchen Bar entry. There's Patrick Byrne. And they're coming off a pretty successful weekend, aren't they? Patrick Byrne and Guy Cosmo in that Rentec Mercedes at Road America. Yeah,
very fast, and been quick here as well this weekend. Expect them to be a factor in the race today.
And that bizarre start to their championship when they came in late in the season into Watkins Glen and had a huge wreck from the hauler on its way to that race, and they couldn't. Driver was okay, but it was a bizarre wreck, and they couldn't get the car and everything to the track. They ended up using the NOLA Sport, put together a rental ride, if you will, with NOLA Sport just to get those 2 guys at the track. And then they showed up at Road America, and they were for real. All right, here we go. You saw as soon as that pace car pulled off, a little psych move, I think, by Kozarov. He just hammered it down into turn 3, rocketed out of turn 4, then checked up a little bit. either psych move or just making sure he had clean tires. And here we go, and the race is on. But look at Colin Mullen. He is not going quietly, and he eases into the lead. Now Kozarov, late move to the inside down into turn 8. And Kozarov drifting way wide, taking Mullen with him. And Kozarov into the lead at this stage.
Yeah, it's good, hard, clean racing. Yes. Mullen got the jump on him, and Kozarov looked like he's going to tuck in, then surprise him, I think, by deep braking him down into that turn 8 area. On board here, number 77, Volt Racing, Park Place Motorsports, Porsche.
And that is exactly why you were talking about the 91 of Kozarov is so underrated. That was absolutely a brilliant strategic move. Okay, I'm just going to tuck in. Gotcha. Down to the inside. Great to see, but Colin Mullen reacting, understanding the scenario, opening the wheel up, letting him through. Look at this here. And it's coming up on Matt Travis. That is the ST Racing, the number 28 machine.
Godsacker already been crowned champion in the SprintX West division with John Miller. Things settling in here. Kozarov with a nice lead over Mullen. Andretti Autosports McLaren looking very strong here this weekend. Sofronis tucked there into the 3rd position early. And Travis very much in the championship battle. 4 points out of the championship lead coming into this round with 2 races to go, of course.
And look at the margin. Kozarov has just eked out just a little bit here. He's one of those guys, I know I talk about it a lot, but to me it's the measure of somebody who's really got the feel. That is to be able, the start is under review as well here, as you can see on race control. But somebody who can find speed on cold, under pressure tires relative to the rest of the field. And we've seen Vesko Kozarov do that many times.
Yeah, and he had a big margin in qualifying. He's 4/10 to the good. Here's a look at the start here. You can see Mullen gets the jump. Kozarov tucks in behind him, and as they get to the brake zone, just dives down to the inside. That forces Mullen out wide. I think this is why it's under review here in terms of whether he gave him enough racing room. Now, certainly Mullen was outside the boundaries of track limits, but had nowhere to go with that, and he didn't gain position. So I think I'll just be under review. I'd be strange if there was any action on the front row anyway, unless there was something deeper in the pack.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree completely. I mean, he was there, then Kozarov drifted over a bit, and he just opened the wheel up to avoid contact, and it certainly didn't help him. He slotted in behind him, so there was no advantage at that point.
Keegan there, followed by Brynjolfsson in the bright yellow Volt Racing, number 77.
That's a good, I'm sorry, I was going to say that's a good point with Keegan possibly being in that car, because they're both AM drivers, so they can pick and choose whoever they want to do that qualifying. It showed as Calvert, but you're right, it could have well have been Keegan, and it looks like it was.
Oh, that was deep there. Godsacker almost into the back of the Porsche. Had to get out of the brakes and straighten up there. He might have got into the ABS possibly, and the car went a little bit numb, and it wasn't slowing down enough. He had to juke over to the right-hand side. On board here with Brynjolfsson.
So that bright yellow, full bright yellow car. You can see the yellow highlights there on the Notosport car of Matt Travis, but there is Brynjolfsson. Car fielded and run by Park Place Motorsports with Volt Lighting sponsorship on it. And following him for a number of reasons. They're officially entered as a GT4 West car for this. They have already completed their season in the East Championship, but they're here. Brynjolfsson running in the sprint class, but they're here primarily in this category because he's going after the Porsche Cup.
Yeah, and that's a big global championship that he's very much in the mix with. Christian Reed runs in Europe in the World Endurance Championship, amongst other GT classes over there. So it's been nip and tuck all season long. They bounce the lead backwards and forwards. Right now, I think Alan may have it, but there's some big races that Christian Reed will run in before the end of the season, so it could swing back in his favor.
And they rate those races, don't they, in terms of more valuable versus less valuable in terms of the points. But it's been a long time, I think, since an American has won that championship, and Alan very hopeful that he can bring it home, so to speak.
The big names in sports car races have won that title. Bryce Cobb over the years, Johannes van Overbeek, amongst others from the USA.
That's very prestigious. You get to go spend a little time, big celebration over there, and I think you get tossed the keys to a brand new
It's not too
car.
bad, is it?
Not coming from Porsche, it's not.
Put that in your hand luggage to get it home.
Yeah.
You better be flying first class, but nonetheless, it's a great reward.
It is, it is.
And it means a lot because there's so many Porsches competing globally in motorsports,
Yes.
so to be the top privateer is certainly a statement.
Good scrap here right now, the number 47 of Matt Travis, and then the multi-liveried car, basically black, but with all those little squares on it, the GPI Biotech entry. It might be John Miller behind the wheel of that car.
Some names on our timing and scoring sheet from qualifying that don't seem quite correct, so we'll gradually work through that. I think it is Miller behind the wheel and Keegan behind the wheel of the 51, Brynjolfsson behind the wheel of the 77.
Kozarov, margin over Mullen last time by was 1.3 seconds here. See what it is, up just a little bit, 1.4. Kozarov doing a superb job. They have a team car, does Reardon Racing, running in this one. It's started by Sarah Cattaneo, running in the 16th spot right now, 4th in class, however. She'll turn over to Owen Trinkler.
So we've got another Mercedes with Novikov and Anthony Lazaro sharing here this week.
That's very true. That is very true indeed. And while we're watching this, we're watching John Miller. Let's check in with Ryan.
And this will answer your question definitively. John Miller is in the car because Harry's here with me, unless you could be two places at once. At any rate, you clinched the championship at Portland, so you come into this one without a whole lot of pressure from that standpoint. How do you approach a weekend like this?
Yeah, definitely number one priority is to take care of the car at the end of the day, but we're out here to try to win the race. This is a beautiful racetrack the SRO has put together. Really thankful for this opportunity for BMW and everyone at ST Racing. You know, it's been a great year. Hopefully John can just hold on to her until it's my time to jump in.
And to your point, from the moment I spoke to you, you really like this racetrack and this layout.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely a driver's track. It's a lot different than anything else I've ever been on. It's really, yeah, it's just different. And the whole night theme racing throughout the weekend has been really awesome.
Well, congratulations on the great season. Hope you cap it off with a nice couple of races. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, they have had just a superb year in that Western Championship, and interestingly, there is a possibility here that it could end up with a 1-2 scenario here as the team car. Solid in the points as well in that second spot, started by Samantha Tan. She's running 5th in the class right now, but she'll turn it over to Jason Wolf at the pit stops. She keeps it in the hunt. Jason's certainly capable of wheeling it up toward the front right now. Off mic, you made a good comment here that there's actually 3 rear cars running here as well, and one of them is a Mercedes. Dmitry Novikov and Anthony Lazaro. So let's see how that plays out here, the number 64 entry.
Sarah Tallman and everyone there, Laura Tallman, excuse me, and everyone at Reardon Racing do a tremendous job of running that multi-car operation. They always seem to be turning out fast cars.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. So the top 3 right now, all also leading in their category. Kozarov leading in the West Am category, Mullen in the National Pro-Am, and Safronis in the National Am category.
Fastest lap of the race, 2 Kozarov, 42.4, so he's absolutely flying.
And since this is SprintX racing, they actually held a second qualifying session. And that will determine the grid for the season finale, which will happen tomorrow here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But Mullen doing a nice job, just staying within reach of Kozarov, at least at margins at 1.8.
Travis had a little look there on the inside of turn 11 at Safronis. It's a pretty special place to pull off a move. There's no room there whatsoever. It's so tight through that final couple of corners as you set up for the run onto the banking here.
Travis is right there, but it's so narrow. You need to time it to absolute perfection and make a pass into this turn. It's doable, just not easy.
Safronis getting off turn 2 really effectively. He's able to roll just a little bit more speed, it seems, at apex, which was crucial then. Pick up the power a little bit sooner. Not so much a stop and go, and that will help the balance of the car as well. Really big load through this fast left-hand sweeper.
And he is the only guy in the field who ran here in 2000, the last time.
Travis
World
in
Challenge
deep,
was
he's
here.
wide.
Whoa.
Here comes Miller looking to the inside. May have got into the ABS a little bit, lost the front end.
Miller just not close enough to be able to do anything with it. I asked James earlier, I said, do you remember much about that race in 2000? Anything from there that you could translate to here? And he went, nothing. Track's so different. He said it was so long ago.
A few less gray hairs, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, he said everything's so different. The cars are different. Everything's different. Miller thinking about it here, looked, and then if he had maybe just stuffed it down in there, he may have been able to make it work. But John being a little circumspect right now.
Yeah, he is, and let's not forget that he'll know what the overall SprintX Championship is looking like, and that 47 car is very much in the mix. So does that allow him to take advantage? Is Travis not going to shut the door in case he has contact, or does Miller just have to give him a little bit more respect and you know, just treat the championship contenders a little bit differently?
Take a look at this moment here. That's what you were talking about by.
Yeah, he just got in the ABS, I think, and just had to straighten his hands a little bit so he didn't run at the back of Sofronis, and that gave Miller a little sniff at the pass.
Keegan right with that group right now as well.
Keegan making the adjustment around the Saline Cup just a few
Exactly.
minutes ago. So
Fairly
much similar GT4 platform cars, but different in how they handle, how they deliver the power and such.
At least they'll have a little bit more recent track knowledge possibly than some of the others, if nothing else here.
Panos has been really quick around this circuit. Ian James put in a brilliant drive here today to sneak the win and grab the championship lead back in the sprint division. Be a fascinating finale here tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that car, I mean, in that race, it owned the middle sector here. Sector 2, it just works on this infield incredibly well, doesn't it?
It does. It's just a great handling car. It just really uses these Pirelli P0s effectively. It doesn't have a lot of tire degradation that no one's really seeing here this weekend. This racetrack, as it's rubbered in, is really not wearing the tires out at all. We saw some really fast laps towards the very end of races earlier in the day.
Brynjolfsson behind this group, but a ways back right now. About 3.5 seconds adrift of Keegan is this bright yellow number 77. The 89 of Byrne, Patrick Byrne, and the Rentec Mercedes.
Stack up here behind Sofronis, but Sofronis seems to be quick in the right places and just seems to be focused on that in terms of the exit off of turn 12 and off of turn 2.
But you're right about getting out of turn 2. Every time it's stacked up behind him, he leaves it and he's just gone.
Watch here, he just seems to be able to roll speed. He's using a little bit of that outside part of the curbing. It's like a top hat there in terms of a little crest there that you want to be on the outside of or the track side of, not abuse it too much.
In these GT4 cars, talking to a number of the drivers, the time you spend in both of the south and north apron runs, those long, never-ending left-handers, they said it totals about 25 seconds that you're in there. And it's flat. We talked about this earlier in the day as well. It's flat, but it's not easy flat.
No, the car's definitely loaded, and you get in traffic, and it take a little bit. I mean, these GT4 cars aren't as aero-sensitive as the GT3 machinery, which will run again here tonight, but even so, a little bit later in the run, it's a little bit tricky to hold it flat, I would imagine.
As we're watching this great run by Matt Keegan, he and his co-driver Preston Calvert have already clinched the championship run.
Exactly. So a weight off your shoulder, Preston. The guys just said, pretty sure Matt says you clinched this championship by taking the green, and it's a first drivers' championship for Team Panos Racing. Pretty amazing.
That's our understanding, and we're just thrilled beyond belief with the the opportunity. I'm thrilled, and I know Matt is, with the opportunity that Don Panos gave us to come drive for his team, and the ability to drive for a championship and have a possibility of a second for tomorrow, which we don't want to jinx, is an incredible thing. So we're really we're real proud, and we're very grateful for the opportunity Matt and I have had to do this. And Matt's driving great right now. He's putting in a good first stint. Hopefully I can get in and do the same, and we'll finish this out strong the way we've tried to do all year.
The two of you have been a dynamic duo in this car with this team the last couple of seasons. What about this relationship makes it so successful?
Well, Matt and I, Matt is a great character and a fun person to be around. I'm much more easygoing, I think, than people might think, so we all get along really well. And the team is very close knit, and we have the most dedicated team that I can imagine. So we all just kind of work together, and Matt is a little faster than I am. I try to keep up with him the best I can, and our average pace seems to work out pretty well most of the time.
Job well done. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, especially if you make working out well most of the time a championship.
Yes. Well, that was their target coming in, and they've done a wonderful job. It's just a great team chemistry there. Is just so strong. There's such an experienced group of team personnel that they have there. Ian James is effectively now the team boss, as well as racing the sprint program as well. They got some great engineering staff there with Stefan Pfeiffer and the likes, and just some good lead mechanics, just a top-notch group.
Absolutely, and right now, the pressure from Matt Keegan on the back of Matt Travis is giving John Miller just a little bit of breathing room, as I think Travis maybe eyeballing those mirrors a little bit more. Real close stuff here, side by side. Oh, and Miller ramping the outside.
Yeah, that was nice. Took a few corners to finish it off, but
It did.
good respect between the drivers, and Keegan looking for opportunity at the same time.
Now Miller going to see if he can set sail and run down James Fronis for that third spot, and he's been able to open that margin up, as we said, just a little bit. You know, it's funny, a number of years ago when we first saw John Miller, and he showed up, did some touring car racing and the Pirelli World Challenge a number of years ago, and he would just throw those cars around, and we called him Mr. Excitement. And he just worked and worked and worked at that racecraft, and he has turned into an absolutely superb driver.
He really has. He's a great mentor to Aurora Strauss last year that ran with the team, and to come back with Harry Gotzak, he knew they were going to be favorites for the championship, knowing their credentials. And they certainly delivered that by sealing it a couple of rounds early. It's a great team, though. Ken Tan, Samantha Tan's dad, gives them the resources to do it right. And it's being showcased here this year, where they could ultimately finish first and second in the Drivers' Championships.
It's a birthday weekend for Mr. Tan as well.
And Jason Wolf, who drives with Samantha.
No problem there for the number 21. That's the Flying Lizard. Of course, you have Michael Dynan, who drives with Robbie Foley. And they're usually a factor. Qualified 8th overall, 4th in their category. So this is a tough, tough break, Cal.
Yeah, this is another top-notch group, Flying Lizard Motorsports. So much history in sports car racing. Jim Bell, their engineer, one of the best up and down pit lane you'll find in terms of tuning a car in. And Michael Dynan is under the expert tutelage of Robbie Foley, who's really turned it into one of the fastly up-and-coming GT racers to watch.
Yeah, he is. Any series he's been running in this year, he seems to be able to put together wins.
Big one last weekend over at Atlanta. Yep. Kozarov now lead is up to 4 seconds. Continuing to run laps in the 142 range, which is uncharted territory for everyone else other than Colin Mullen, who follows him in second.
Yeah, Kozarov just able to click those high 142s off too.
The other thing that he recognized, he knows what sort of car Jeff Burton is comfortable with. So he may be able to make the car a little edgier, maybe even quicker than he's running right now, but he knows when he turns it over, he knows what Jeff wants from the car, what platform, what balance he likes in the race car. And that's ultimately what you have to do to create a successful partnership in sports car racing, and not have the ego where I just want to run a stellar lap and my teammate is way slower. Find the compromise where you can both do an effective job and collectively you're better than anyone else.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that, you know, his mechanical sensitivity, his setup knowledge and the fact that he is so fast as well just really plays into that, and understanding what you're talking about, that big picture about, you know, you got a client, you always want your client to be fast for starters, and two, if you want to win races, you need to have cars that are fast for both drivers for the full stint.
See Ross Smith back,
yeah.
Renewing his association with Racers Edge, ran in GT a long time ago, and see him hustling that sin through the chicane.
Yeah, Ross, I think it was 2010, he just absolutely went on a tear in the Porsche GT3 Cup Championship, winning it handily, and then sort of went quiet for a while. And talked to him earlier, said, boy, I sure had fun calling you back in those days, but I haven't seen much. He goes, well, I said, we've been focusing on the business and this and that. And he said, it just got to a point where I could do a little bit of this again, and decided to come back and give it a go.
This is Miller. He is Corsa Fronis.
He has. Oh, actually.
No, that's the other car, sorry.
Yeah, that's Samantha Tan, who's in a heck of a battle with Sarah Catania. Sarah in that white and blue Audi.
Sarah really running the high line there, coming off of that fast left-hand sweeper.
And that's Thomas Collingwood. Ooh. Oh!
That was a late move. That was really not on.
Yeah, it's a bit optimistic here. See if Samantha can regroup here and get going. Yep, nicely done. Question is there damage?
Yeah, he just saw the opening and just got a bit too aggressive there to steam it down the inside, turn Samantha around. Really nice young girl, really learning her trade at a rapid rate. She's under the tutelage of Nick Jonsson now, who's got so much experience in sports car racing, been working on every facet of her driving. Let's take another look here. Just really wasn't the gap. Yeah. Samantha wasn't expecting it, and the best choice.
Yeah, that's a fairly quick turn, and at a certain point your eyes are up and you are turning into the apex, and that's when he made the lunge. Now he's going to try and drive around the outside of Sarah Catania.
Gets a big run.
Yeah, sure does.
Like he's going to clear Sarah before they get to the brake zone for the first corner. So that was well done.
Yes, indeed.
But I think the stewards may be having a little look at that one again in terms of the contact with the 38.
Yeah, I think so. Talking to Owen, you know, we've seen Sarah Catania running in the ST category and the like, and she has had some class poles and the like, and he said this is just a different step. You know, this Audi is a very different layout from the cars that she's been familiar with. A little bit more stick, a little bit more power, and he said her development, she's doing it the right way, just taking some baby steps at it. And the like, it's a good little scrap here. It's the 69 of Patrick Byrne, keeping some pressure on the 77, that bright yellow machine of Alan Brynjolfsson.
Patrick Byrne, Guy Cosmo had a quick chat with them last night. They're pretty excited about next year, trying to figure out where they're going to land, but they found a great home here with the Rentec team. They're very impressed with their performance in terms of the group of personnel that they have. Some great experience. John Shapiro, longtime engineer, is spearheading this, and the car just rolls off the truck really quick.
One of the things that I think is a great choice is that Mercedes. We have seen it proven out with the Murillo team and a couple of others that it is an absolutely user-friendly car for somebody like a Patrick Byrne, who's got a lot of talent, but is early on in things, and to be able to just be able to pick that car up and hustle a little bit, I think it's a great fit.
It is, and when you team up with someone like Guy Cosmo, so much experience and just a great coach and mentor, I mean, it just accelerates how quickly some of these drivers are able to progress by teaming up with the right co-driver.
I suppose in that area you could say the same about that guy right in front of him, who's teamed up with a guy named Trent Hinman.
Yeah, Trent's one of the best. He's coming off a big championship as well in sports cars in GT3 competition this year.
But I'll tell you, in this turn, right there, and that primarily coming through turn 5 and 6, those drivers are getting a face full of desert sun.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. So I know they had a late session the other night, but I'm not sure if it's exactly this time of day. So sometimes that can catch you out. It's like, wow, I haven't experienced this before. How do I deal with it? Beautiful setting right now, late in the afternoon.
It really is. This great low light, just rich in color as it's diffused through the atmosphere and bouncing off of those mountains in the background. It is pretty. You can see just the yellowness of it. That's what richens it up so much. And here we go, burn. Oh, excuse me, we've moved up again here, and this is the Travis Keegan scrap that has been going on right from the drop of the green flag, and the pit window is open, Cal.
Yeah, 25 to 35 minutes into this race, so it's just open. You'd expect the quick guys like Kozrov to stay out and extend their run as far as they can to get those fast laps on this race car before they pit and turn it over. Typically, it should be the lower graded driver, but when you have equal grading, then they can work a different bit of strategy. So their strategy was here was for Vesco to qualify, get the car at the sharpie end, or the pointy end, should I say, and do what he's doing in terms of stretching that gap. For Mullen and Andretti, well, there's not much between those two drivers either in terms of pace. So
right.
See what Pemberton and the crew do there.
All right, here's that third rear entry we were talking about. That's Dmitry Novikov. He's stepping out, and on board goes Anthony Lazzaro.
Yeah, he's just a rocket ship. Just has that passion for driving.
He sure does.
Even at the later stages of his career.
I think he needs to write a book about the first season he ever ran the full Atlantic Championship. When he was sharing a car with a club racer. And the guy'd race it in the club race and often wreck it, then hand it off to Anthony. Anthony'd have to rebuild it in the week between and then go race in the Pro Series. And it was rinse and repeat all year long. That is passion and commitment.
It is. Let's see there. Quinlan was in, and the Fuge is going to be jumping on board as soon as they can. And Mullins hitting pit lane. Jared Andretti ready to go. Jared had a problem in his qualifying segment, which meant that he didn't get a good run in. Had a big tire vibration that they were doing to try and sort out after the qualifying run. 69 seconds is the minimum pit stop time they have to work with here. And essentially that's all down to just the driver change. Plenty of time, should be about 35 seconds, about 24-second drive-through time here at Las Vegas. So it gives you over half a minute to a nice, safe driver change. Should be no problem.
It's a fair amount of time to be able to get it done, but still, if one thing goes a bit wrong, it certainly can still catch you out here.
Well, the problem with the driver change, once it starts to go wrong, that panic sets in really quickly.
Good point. Looking at those timing screens right now. See who's executing closely on this stuff.
Travis to Hart was a nice one, 69.5. That's just half a second outside the minimum.
It's about as good as it gets, isn't it?
That's really good. That's what that team needs, trying to go after a championship. Quinlan to Leofuge was 73, so they left 5 seconds on the table.
Meanwhile, Kozrov just putting the laps in here, stretching that margin.
A bit wide there into the brake zone, but not a big deal. And you'd expect him to run towards the end, so another 5 minutes or so before he comes in.
The car right behind him is Leofoge, who, of course, with that pit stop is down a lap. So Greg is just going to throw everything at this he possibly can here. They pitted. They were about 13th or so when Quinlan brought that car in.
Leofuge's got a lot of work to do.
Yes, he does.
That grid position switch cost them dearly today. Smith is in. Racer's Edge go to work. They've had a busy day. Ran in the GT3 race a little bit earlier and going to run again tonight.
That's a good point. 3 races for them to be looking after cars in. And he's going to turn over. Smith is to Marco De Leo.
Everyone exploring the grip, trying to get that tucked inside those painted curbs. See if they can pick up a little bit of grip there and rotate the car.
Yeah, Brynjolfsson to Hindman, they lost a little bit of time, didn't they? About 2.5 seconds. They ran deep there.
71.2.
Yeah.
Okay, 69 seconds is the minimum. You also have a 1 second joker to work with.
And then Patrick Byrne is turned over to Cosmo. Not bad. 70.1. But Travis DeHart was another good one as well.
Kozrov struggling with the car a little bit down in turn 1 now, so first signs of the car really not tracking where he wants it to go.
Yeah, Leifou's just made up some serious ground on him just in terms of track distance.
Yeah, and there was no fresh tires thrown at it, so it's not like he has a better set of rubber to work with in the second half of the race. Stay on the same set of Pirelli P0s.
In comes John Miller. He will turn over to Harry Gottsacker.
Can do any tire pressure adjustment you want, but no switching, as we now see Preston Calvert jumping in behind the wheel of the 51 Panos Avezzano. In the background, TRG going to work.
Keep an eye here on that Miller stop here.
20.
Here's the crew yelling out 20.
15.
Looks like they got everything done they needed to. Time enough to do one quick adjustment on that left front. Looks like he's bleeding off some pressure.
5.
Exit stage left.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, well played. There's that line of tape down there that all the crew has to be behind that line before that car is released. Boy, look at
Who's just flying.
He is. And that stop, let's see. Oh, yep, 70 seconds even on that stop. Keegan and Calvert, that exchange taking way too long. Almost 79 seconds, so problematic here. Started car leaving pit lane. There it is. Foo's just trying to
Back on that lead lap.
Yeah.
It really just seems like Kozrov's car has gone off a little bit because he was the dominant car here.
Yes.
For Leifou's to basically gain about 5 seconds, I'd say, in terms of getting that position. Vesco's not really giving him a lot of room to get back on the racetrack there. He recognizes that Steve Cameron BMW has been very fast here, second half of the championship season, and he feels if he can keep it behind, that'll stop Leifou's going on the charge and maybe chasing down Jeff Burton a little bit later in this race.
And Vesco he just does not make anything easy in terms of you getting around him. Nor should he, admittedly.
Well, he's totally aware at all times.
Yes.
He knows what's going on there. You can see him protect the inside line there. And he's probably going to be coming in this lap. I would be surprised if they stretch any further. It'd be really marginal on time. And also if there's a spin or you get a little bump, you're not going to make it back and get in a pit lane. You have to be in pit lane with at least 25 minutes to go. A little bobble there. He is struggling for grip here. Car has definitely gone off on him a little bit later in the going.
Ooh, and behind him, yep, there was the spin right there. It's the number 17 entry. I think that may be Dr. James Rappaport.
Yeah, and he's in.
All right, here we go.
50 kilometers an hour down pit lane. And then it's going to be all about execution. Can they get this driver change executed cleanly and then release the car at the appropriate time to minimize any loss on pit lane? 69 seconds is the target time.
The question here is, looking at the monitors, I'm still seeing Safronis out in the car, but surely he would have stopped or is going to on this lap here to turn over to Bell.
Yeah, they're cutting it really close.
Oof, no kidding.
He's in.
So that should promote Andretti now into the lead over Hart and Gottsacker. And there it is.
Well, we've got to wait and see where Burton comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
So here comes Andretti onto the front stretch as they now release Burton.
See what they have here.
There it is. Andretti pips him.
That close.
Yeah. I tell you what, Kozarov's last few laps were
Yeah.
not good.
No,
And that's
I
really
agree.
cost them the lead right now.
It was a good stop, a 69.9.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, definitely just the pace, I think.
Just fighting with Leofugi. Hindsight's easy, right? But if it let him go, maybe he just followed him and maybe he would have had those 2 or 3 seconds that he's looking for right now to give his teammate the lead as he gets back into the car and tries to find a rhythm.
So Jared Andretti out front right now in the Window World Endurance Warranty. McLaren just getting his first overall win in the Sprint Championship a few races back, and I'd love to put one together here. He's had class wins here, but not overall. And the Sofronis to Bell exchange, not good.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
That's an interesting line. I haven't seen that one yet today.
Exactly.
There's a sprint driver for you. Getting innovative with finding the grip. I just love Jarrett's determination. He's an Andretti, so you know he's a great racer at heart, but just really displayed enormous potential this year, great speed, and he is not easily ruffled. He's come under tremendous pressure this season and just sits there and takes it.
Working his way through that very tight chicane. 3.5 seconds, the gap between Andretti and Kozarov. Another 4 back to Hart. See whether Burton can dig deep. We saw him have done it before. He had it really, I think his breakout drive was in Sonoma.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, got in front, had a heck of a field, and he had a margin, and you thought, okay, he can manage this. Then there was a caution. And on the restart, it was like, oh, it's going to be tough. And not only did he hold them off, he was eventually able to drive away from a few of them. That was impressive.
And looking at
Wiggle there. So, yeah, after watching Kozarov stay out, maybe have a couple of issues in a couple of those late laps, Ryan, you found him in pit lane.
Yeah, let's find out from him. Vesco, you dominated the opening stanza of the race, but it did seem like you had your hands full there towards the end of your stint. What were you experiencing?
Pirelli.
Okay. As far as the car that you're handing over is concerned, how much does Jeff have to work with?
3 tires.
All right. Thank you for the time, Vesco.
Thank you.
You could see it. He'd lost the balance in the race car, and he was struggling, which means his teammates now going to struggle because you don't do a tire change in GT4 competition in SprintX, you do in GT3. So, not a happy camper.
No, not at all. There's Marco De Leo as he works through in the Racer's Edge Sin. And here comes Jared Andretti. There is Reardon, and coming after him is that car now in the hands, started by Travis, now in the hands of Jason Hart.
You'd have to think, based on Vesco's comments there, that Jason may be able to deal with Burton a little bit easier than we suspected.
Right.
And this is big in the championship. Jason Hart, Matt Travis came into this race just 4 points behind Quinlan and Leofuge, who's had to come from the back of the pack. Deep on the brakes there. Oh, it was getting a bit dicey. Just managed just to get it slowed down.
Burton may not have the best car, but he's fighting, isn't he?
He is.
That's a good point about Hart and Travis here, where they're running right now. And Leofuge sits 9th, 4th in class.
4th in class, which is how it'll be scored, correct?
Yeah. Burton just kept squeezing and squeezing and squeezing.
And the difference between 2nd and 4th is 6 points. So it would swing the championship lead back to Travis and Hart by just by a couple of points. This is the tight section. They got to be really careful. You see Burton really wide. They're up by the wall. Didn't look like he got good acceleration off, so maybe that's what they're struggling with, that right rear tire.
That is the one that in those cars is generally under the most load, isn't it?
Depends on your balance, Greg. I mean, you know, if you've got some understeer, you're going to be working on that right front. If your car's a little bit loose. But obviously the right side is the heavily loaded tire here.
So as we're watching Jason Hart now up into the second spot, the man he is chasing some 7 seconds up the road is Jarrett Andretti. Boy, Hart is just flowing that thing around the track. And here is Jarrett down into turn 3 and down in pit lane. Ryan Marine has caught his opening driver.
Yeah, Jarrett doing a great job. Colin Mullen did the yeoman's work to start this race, put the car in position to be in the lead now. How good is this McLaren?
It's very good. This is a brand new car for the team this weekend after Road America, where unfortunately they had a bit of an accident there. But we have a brand new car this weekend. The McLaren 570S is running great on track. The first stint we knew tire management would be key, especially going into the long run. So I just matched the pace and tried to get a gap to third place. I handed over to Jarrett in second, and we were able to get the undercut through the pit stops. And now Jarrett's in the lead. So we have a good shot at the win today for sure.
We've seen that the outing of Esko Kazarov losing some pace towards the end of his stint. In your estimation, at least, do you think maybe he didn't take care of his tires the way that you were able to?
Yeah, definitely. I think we kind of saw that at the start. So I figured if Esko, wanted to burn off his tires, I could go let him. And we just focused on our own race from there. And pretty much following our best suit to get to the long run.
Great to have you back at the championship. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
He was impressive from the first time we saw him in this championship and has lived up to it. And I'm pretty sure Jarrett is pretty pleased to have Colin back as his co-driver, huh?
Yeah, it seems to be a good match there in terms of pace and how they get along. But on the last lap, at least, Hart was some 8/10 quicker than Andretti, so he's cutting into that lead and went from low sevens to about 6.5 second gap between the two leaders right now. And for Jason Hart, he'd love to get those, get that win and get those extra 7 points. That would be a massive swing in this championship. So he's going to be digging deep right now. 18 minutes to go.
Another guy to keep an eye on is Harry Gottsacker, who is closing in on Burton now. That margin is down to under 2 seconds. That would be for third overall. And here is Lefort, who still sits in that 9th spot, but he is making some ground up on Preston Calvert.
Really helps him.
He has to get up to Cosmo, doesn't he?
Yeah, but Cosmo's invisible in the points, right? So it's not a lot in it right now. Even though he's well down the order in terms of the gap between the championship leaders there.
Yeah,
it's only one position. Beautiful.
Isn't it?
Visuals right now at this time of day. Look at Greg really working that wheel, trying to get that front tucked, pointed as he chases after a overall position right now. This will not affect his points in the Pro-Am class. Preston just lets him go.
Yeah, Preston a pretty big picture guy in a lot of ways and understands that. Let's let Faj go, so he'll have the number 2 of Jason Bell.
Andretti just responded to Hart's challenge. He just laid down the fastest lap of this race at 1:42.2. So Jarrett Andretti got the word that Hart was catching him, and guess what? He just gapped him by a couple of seconds on that one lap alone.
And just to clarify, when Cal made the comment about these invisible in the points, there's a rule in place that if you only run the last 2 events of the year, or the last one, but if you only come in for the last 2 events of the year, then you are not scored in terms of points. You get your finishing position, you get your trophies and the like, but you do not score points and affect the championships of the people that have been running for the full season. That's why in this one also, Brynjolfsson and Hinman are not going to be scoring points because they ran in the East Championship, and they're here primarily because, one, Allen is running in the sprint category, but also chasing that Porsche Cup and wanted to be able to run here.
It's Gottsacker now behind the wheel of the 28 ST Racing BMW. Fourth on the road right now, leads the West Pro division. Adding to their tally for the season, it looks like.
Yeah, what a year they have put together in that West Regional Championship. And as we watch Hart, he'll turn in a lap and close it up a little bit, and then Andretti will respond. It's a great duel, separated by about 8 seconds or so, and Matt Travis drove a storming stint in that NOLA Sport car.
He did indeed. And Matt, you're watching this run at the front, kind of keeping an eye on how things are playing out. But the math is pretty simple. As you told me earlier in the weekend, you've got one car you're worried about and trying to keep it behind you.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. Championship focus. Singular focus, that's it. All we've got to do is stay in front of the number 19 car both days. So right now that's going to plan, knock on wood. But all we're in it for is the championship at this point. We need to finish where we are. Sure, it would be great to get the 25 points to get by the McLaren, but with the BOP help they got overnight, I don't think that's going to happen. So you'll bring this home, and we'll be happier in a tornado in a trailer park.
No undue risk, right? Just make sure you get the job done.
That's right. That's what we're trying to do. Bring it home, clean, simple, stay in front of the 19, come back, do the same thing tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You knew it was coming.
He's a character.
He is.
They have fun with their racing, but just really executed at a high level this year.
Yes, they have.
And they haven't panicked. Maybe internally they did, but they certainly didn't show it outwardly in terms of how the season started to unravel a little bit, and they've come back strong and should have the championship lead once again with 1 round to go if they finish where they are.
And this is a tasty little battle, isn't it? Burton hanging on at this stage. I think Gottsacker has got through, but then he's got Hinman right behind him, then Cosmo.
See there, Burton just really struggles to get the power down coming off that corner and opens up the door, allows Trent to get the run. He just tries to get out of the way, but he uses up the really abrupt transition there between the apron and the banking. That's not good for the race car.
No, not at all.
Cosmo deep on the brakes. He is flying in that Rentec Mercedes right now.
The car behind this queue is that of Jim Rappaport, the Racers Group entry. I think he's down a lap right now. But yeah, Cosmo attacking now on Hinman. Here we go, down into turn 3. Quick run up to that, hard braking down into certainly, I think, probably the tightest turn in terms of how it folds back on itself just a little bit.
And Cosmo is really quick. He's been running laps a lot quicker than Hinman, and Gottsacker in front of him. He's got a long way to go to get to the Pro-Am runner that he's truly competing against today, Andretti and Hart, who lead this race overall.
Well, I wonder if Gottsacker and Hinman's laps were being affected a little bit, obviously, by Burton being a bit off the pace.
That's true.
Now that everybody's cleared him, we'll see what they have.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hinman there just wheeling that car through turn 10. Using every inch of the road. Gottsacker's going to be under attack here pretty quickly, I think. There you can see the cornering load. Look at that BMW. See the roll in it as it finally gets the car straight.
All right, let's see what lap Gottsacker turns this time. A 43.8. Hinman a 43.1. No, yep, so he is definitely a little bit quicker than Cosmo at 43.1.
This is important for Hinman to get this position, to get the class win, but also for Alan Brynjolfsson on how he'll be scored in the Porsche Cup. Had some disappointment earlier in the day where they had a strong podium run going until in the very last few minutes of the sprint race. Cosmo looks menacing, doesn't he? He looks a little bit quicker than both these cars in front of him.
He really does. One of the things that we've seen, whether it's the GT3 version or the GT4 version of that Mercedes, is it's able, it seems, to be fairly compliant over curbs, bumps, whatever, and not upset that platform just a little bit. So it seems to me to be a car you can attack a bit with.
Yeah, I think when you talk to the drivers too, I think people have jumped between different manufacturers. They said the Mercedes is definitely one of the easier to drive. And I think that's good for the lesser experienced drivers in the field to be able to achieve good lap time. A good full pro, even if the car's edgy, they'll wring its neck and get the time there. Oh, Cosmo there. Really deep on the brakes, cost him about a car length as Trent Hinman now gets the run here.
Yeah, just not out of the turn 12 for Gottsacker very strongly, and that has allowed Hinman to get a great run and slice through. We'll see what Cosmo is able to do. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything here, but boy, he closes it up under braking.
Yes, like he doesn't quite seem to have the speed in the right places to make moves, but looks menacing in terms of his potential lap time.
Up front, Andretti over Hart by 7.3, make it 7.4 seconds essentially. Hart running a lap about a half second faster than Andretti that time, but then there's a big margin of 12 seconds back to this group battling here.
It seems like Andretti here that we're looking at is controlling things nicely at the front. Whenever Hart puts in a quick one, he seems to be able to respond to it. And I'm sure with the experience that he's had this year, tire management is very much on his mind right now. See that unique line he runs there, just cuts it to the inside a little bit.
Well, he really exits 8. He doesn't even get up on that exit curb at all. He gives himself a good 3-4 feet there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's had some unique lines all season long, but it's been very effective. And I think he's worked hard with his engineer there at Andretti Autosport to get the car to work for him by running that line. We were asking the car to do a lot of turn at apex.
We're up on 8 minutes to run here. Again, the 15th round of the Pirelli GT4 America's SprintX National Championship, 9th round of the Western Regional Championship. All part of the Pirelli GT4 America at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, presented by Run by Cirque du Soleil. You're getting reports it's a live action thriller. It opens October 24th here in Las Vegas. Kind of cool to be associated with Cirque du Soleil.
It really is.
Different forms of entertainment here, yeah. Exactly.
Changed a lot. I haven't been coming here forever, but it's changed a lot in the last 20 years at least.
Boy, hasn't it? You may have just found out that we're located right next door to Nellis Air Force Base, too, folks. Which has made this fascinating. If you're just a fan of all things fast and powerful, watching really great sports cars on the ground and then look up and see an air show extraordinaire.
There's a lot of fast pilots here this weekend.
Yes, there are.
So according to his teammate, Jason Hart has done exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Beat the 19 that runs 7th overall and 4th in class. They're running 2nd overall, 2nd in class. They'd love to get to Andretti, but the way he's running is going to be tough.
Hart took another 3/10 off, but you said every time he drops it down under that 7 seconds or there, it seems like Andretti just finds a little something. Watching Hinman now. Hinman just set his personal best lap of the race at 142.4. That's a fast lap for that car now.
Cosmo's got around Gottsacker.
It's interesting. You definitely want to free the car up there and not pinch it down and scrub speed, but that's an abrupt transition, isn't it? You get up that little, you sort of bang up onto the banking and then bang back down onto the apron.
I'll tell you what, though, Hinman is showing impressive pace. He and Cosmo just running laps in the mid-42 ranges, which is about a second quicker than our leaders right now. So they've got pace, but time is running out, and there's a big gap of 10 seconds between Jason Hart, who runs 2nd, and Trent Hinman 3rd. There's Cosmo, who's Clayed Gottsacker, laying down some very fast laps as well. We thought he had pace in that car, but wasn't able to truly display it, stuck in traffic.
Ooh. Just a little bobble there by Cosmo, and that torques an entry. He too just set his fast lap of the race at a 1:42.694. Slightly quicker than Hart, and again they've got some 10 seconds to make up. That last lap though, Hart just turned a 1:43.1 and Andretti a 1:43.9, Cal, and that margin is suddenly about 6 seconds. Now only 5 minutes left in the race, obviously.
Yeah, I think Jared's got it under control. I'm sure he's trying not to load the tires in these last few minutes of the race. He's trying to be as savvy and smart as possible. He's been getting around Gottsacker. A little bit earlier was a pass for the class lead.
Right.
In the West Pro division.
Once again for the Miller-Gottsacker duel in this car right here, the number 28. In a way, this is sort of a celebration event. They were already clinched the championship, so they're here unleashed just a little bit. The interesting thing is where's Jason Wolf, and he's fourth in that class right now. Owen Trinkler, after he took over from Sarah Cattaneo, he's been rocketing up through the field as well, and now sits third in the number 43 Audi, 11th.
That should be enough for Samantha Tan and Jason Wolf to secure second place in the Drivers' Championship, though.
Yep, and that was their goal, to come in and make it a ST Racing 1-2. Give.
And said that they had a 17-point lead coming in. Bader and Dennis, so probably not.
Yeah.
A couple of positions. It's going to be close. They'll have about a 20-point lead. Andretti just trying to reel off these last few laps and bring that Andretti Autosport car home for another victory. It's been a brilliant season. Quality group, continued to learn.
This is unfortunate late in the going to see Toby Grahovic down into the pits.
I spoke to Robin Pemberton of Andretti Autosport last night. I said, same again for next year. He said, yeah, we really want to capitalize on all the lessons learned this year before we start jumping up to another category. And I think based on that, Jared Andretti in sprint, and certainly whoever he teams up with in SprintX next year, will be a force to be reckoned with. It was a big learning curve for that group this year.
It absolutely was. I think one of the impressive things was at the start of the season, you know, in that sprint category in particular, it was the Andretti Autosport car that actually seemed to have the speed advantage over the Black Dog team, which says an awful lot about Robin Pemberton and that group. You know, because that Black Dog crew is pretty savvy as well.
They really are. I mean, it was surprising everyone, right? You'd expect Michael Cooper to be setting the pace in terms of the lead McLaren, but it was Andretti who was getting the job done. He looked a bit raw at the beginning of the year in terms of his road racing prowess, but just every weekend it's got better and better.
Let's see, running laps in the 140, so we should see white flag this time by, as we have 2 minutes left in this first of the double headers here. The duel in the desert. Does that run through turn 12 once again?
Should be white flag this time.
Yeah. Hart has trimmed that margin down to 5.5 seconds, but 1 lap to go, so clearly Andretti managing this beautifully. Hinman and Cosmo throwing down some really fast laps, but they were just too far back. As the white flag is out.
Yeah, just really amazed at the lack of tire degradation here this weekend. Just super fast laps by a number of the competitors in various classes here throughout the day. Remember, no tire change here in this race. 60-minute all the way on the same set of 4.
And for Burton here, he's leading in the Western Am class, 6th overall. He's hanging in there, but he has got Leafoge behind him at this stage.
Jason continuing to push you. You see the car dancing into that brake zone into turn 3, but I don't think there's anything he can do about this man unless he has a bobble on the last lap here.
All he can do is heap on the pressure so that Andretti has to push a little bit and then hope. But Andretti has seemed to have this thing absolutely under control here. Last time down this infield straight into turn 8. And by recommendation of the stewards, when they come around and take the checkered flag, folks, don't be surprised to see them not turn into that chicane. They didn't want to be having people taking the checker and having to break into the chicane with others steaming up behind them. So they said, when you get the checker, you just keep on going on that outside oval banking here. And Jared Andretti may be the first one to be able to do that here in this one. Here he comes through the north apron, onto the throttle, drifting up onto that banking just a little bit. He doesn't use much of it here, but he comes up to the line and wins it. McLaren Andretti Autosport getting the win here. Boy, they have put together a late season run, haven't they, here for Andretti Autosport? Great stuff. Jason Hart through into the second spot. Hinman just coming through. He will take third and win the Western Pro category, which is part of what they wanted to do, obviously, in terms of that Porsche Cup. Cosmo and Gottsacker slice through. Does Burton hang on over Leafouge? We're about to find out here. Watching for them to come to the line. They were down just a bit here, so it's, there you go. Burton did it. He just fended off Leafouge. And then Calvert again in their own sort of little victory tour here, having already clinched that championship with.
Leafouge had a problem on the last lap,
Sure
154-second lap. They were together, and something went a bit crazy with the 19. He just hangs on, which is critical for the championship.
That's a really good point. Yeah, he was 2 seconds behind Burton starting that last lap. Now shows us 12. Had Calvert right there. And, you know, great drive up through the field too for Anthony Lazzaro as well, the number 64 entry.
Fastest lap on the last lap of the race.
Yeah, love that. But for Jared Andretti, Colin Mullen and the Andretti Autosport team, just a solid day. Here's Leafouge. Trying to. I don't see anything particularly wrong with the car.
He's going slow, which is not unusual on the cool-down lap. I just wonder if he ran off somewhere at a moment, but nonetheless lost a good 10 seconds, but didn't cost him any points.
We didn't see it, but I mean, maybe he took a run at Burton somewhere and got the door closed. And
so I believe it's a 3-point swing in the points. So it's going to make it really tight tomorrow with just a 1-point delta possibly between the leading championship contenders.
yeah, close stuff. Gotta love it. Here's Mullen and Andretti getting the win. Travis and Hart doing what they wanted to do in terms of those points. Brynjolfsson and Hinman winning their class. Byrne and Cosmo. A solid run to third in the Pro-Am, fourth overall, but in terms of points effect, they have none. And that makes things interesting as well. Gottsacker and Miller bringing it home, second in their category, but already champions, and then still getting the win in the Western Am category, Burton and Kozarov. So even though they didn't get a little bit better finish in the overall order, they still achieved what they wanted to achieve coming in here with the win and padding that points margin pretty significantly.
Yes. Big day all around. Great job by Jared Andretti, Colin Mullen, superb performance, great execution by the team. Nice momentum as they head to one more race before the off season, but that's a great result for that group.
Yeah, it truly is.
Lots
And
of support there from Endurance Warranty, amongst others, Window World. It's a great program they've put together with excellent partners.
And I'm just thinking rudimentary math here again, Cal. We've talked about that just a little bit, but I think that's a clinch for Burton and Kozarov, isn't it? Because they came in with a 24-point margin and they scored 7 points more. So that might be a clinch for them as well. Look at this moment. It's selfie time from Victory Circle here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Look at that. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Helmet coming off. As soon as it does, check in with Ryan Marine.
Well, let's chat with our winners. Jared Andretti just got off the FaceTime with his father, John, who's watching back at home. Congratulations on the win. What was that moment like just a moment there ago,
awesome.
sharing that with your father?
Yeah, it was awesome. My whole family's back home, and I'm missing out on being home, so it's good to get a second place run this morning, and then obviously get a win here this afternoon. So it's good. I got to see all my sisters and my parents, and I'll be home soon. They're still right here. So I love you guys, and it was just good to get a win.
Talked to Colin earlier. He was saying this is a brand new chassis. This team is really dedicated to bringing you the best possible chance of getting where you are today, victory lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a unfortunate accident at Road America. We unloaded this thing. It's been quick the whole time, and then Colin put in a perfect first stint. Exactly what we need to do. We got tires still left on it, and I could just go out there and bang out laps and manage the gap to I believe it was Hart who was behind me. So it was good. Perfect pit stop. I really couldn't execute it any better. The team, everybody that's involved, it was really awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, executed it beautifully. I mean, that was the key right there, wasn't it?
It was. Ticked every box there today. Jeff Burton, another solid run, had to manage those tires. We believe at the end, Vesco wasn't happy when he jumped out halfway through this race. So hats off to Jeff Burton, another great class victory. And we believe he sealed the deal. I think it's tied, even if they were to score 0 tomorrow and their closest pursuers get the maximum score. So I think they may have sealed it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of happy people down there in that victory lane. 4 different winners, obviously, with 4 different categories. 2 from the National and 2 from the Western Championship. And you see Trent, big smile on his face. Looked like he was talking about a little snap oversteer there, maybe.
Yeah, talking about a certain moment he had in the race. We'll see these drivers talking with their arms and hands and body language right there from Jeff Burton.
The language of racing, absolutely.
And for Preston Calvert and Matt Keegan, champions in our AM class.
Just a solid, smart run for them. And speaking of those 2 drivers, I think Ryan has found them.
I have. They're happy. They're sharing a couple of words here. We talked to Preston earlier. Matt, you had to bring this thing home, but I think you got in the car pretty much knowing it was, Preston brought it home, but you got in and started it, and therefore mission accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't be happier. You know, I think Ian said something very, very nice to me just a few minutes ago and said, you know, it's a true validation that you guys should be champions with the guys that are here. You know, Lazaro, you know, great driver. We're driving against Safronis. James, a great driver. Bell. I mean, all these guys that, you know, we've been competing with this year. And so for us to finish the championship today and lock it up with a win is amazing. And Preston did a great job with his drive. The car's fantastic. The Panos team is just, you know, top tier, and, you know, we couldn't be happier.
Well done, both of you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great run and a championship well earned, and here's the fist bump. Yep, you got to love that. Let's take a look at some highlights from this one. And at the start, great move by Vesco Kozarov. Looked like Colin Mullen got him, and then Vesco just surprised him, popped to the inside. And Mullen opening the door up, the wheel up, recognizing the opportunity, but that let Kozarov through, Cal. But behind him, it was fierce.
It really was. It was really tight there through that final couple of corners there, but everyone was trying to inch their way through. Notice what, another big day, big points and championship potential for tomorrow.
And then this bit of a moment, slightly optimistic by Tom Collingwood as he got down to the inside of the team ST Racing car and snapped it around. And meanwhile, big lunge here by the 47 of Hart, and the rear entry of Burton fended him off as best he could, but Hart was not going to be denied. And then out of the last turn, and the checkered flag coming out, and a big win for Jared Andretti and Colin Mullen and the Andretti Autosport team, and putting it together. And they've got another round in this championship unfolding right here tomorrow.